Hi, this is Roy from Roy's Garage. Today I'm going to be working on a 1989 Toyota Camry station wagon. This window is this is a power window. It's stuck in this position. So in order for me to make this thing move, what I have to do is turn the key on the on position. The power window switch, I either got to hold it on the up or down position, and at the same time I hit the inside of the door panel to jar the power motor to get the window moving. These are the tools that I'm going to be using to replace the power window motor. So this is a wire crimper, wire stripper, a hammer, long nose plier, side cutters, impact screwdriver. This is a Torx 25, a panel remover, Phillips screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, a small flathead screwdriver, 1/4 inch extension, 1/4 inch ratchet, 10mm socket, acid brush, white grease, some dielectric grease, some black electrical tape, duct tape, silicone spray, and some heavy duty grease in a spray grease. Before I forget, we're going to be using this vise to clamp in the window regulator assembly. These are the parts that I'm going to be using for this job. This is a brand new power window motor, and these are some of the adapters. What I need to do is look at the car side and see which side fits. Get about 3 different sizes. Whatever one that fits, that's the one you're going to use, and you plug it right into your motor. Okay, the ignition is on the on position. So what I need to do now is this switch, you either hold it up or down, and at the same time I'm going to be hitting the door panel to vibrate the window motor. Now it's going to work, but if I leave it like that for a while, it's not going to work. So what I have to do is either push the switch up or down, and at the same time hit the panel to get this thing going. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to be replacing the power window motor. Okay, so I'm going to be removing the inner door panel. So first we're going to be removing this plastic piece over here. Then I'm going to be removing the door handle. There's a screw in here, just unscrew it. You slide it forward, pull it out. Then you gotta disconnect the linkage that attaches it to the door handle. So okay, remove this cap. Okay, unscrew this. Okay, remove this plastic cover. There's a screw in here. Okay, there's another plastic covering over here. There's another screw in here. So we're going to pry off the door panel. Gotta lift it up. Then we're gonna disconnect these electrical connectors. Okay, so I'm gonna be removing this plastic shield to get access to the inside of the door. So what I need to do now is I need to lower this window down a little bit more to get access to these two bolts that bolt the glass to the window regulator. Right now it's a little too high, so I need to drop it down a little more. So I'm going to have to connect my wire to my window switch, and hopefully this thing can lower it a little more. Okay, so I'm gonna need to lower the window so the bolt lines up right in the center of this hole. Now it's stuck. Okay, so you can film that. That's where the bolt is. So you gotta line it up. So you gotta unscrew that. Then you gotta unscrew this. Then we can remove the window. It's not hard, but it's a puzzle. Okay, so No, that's not. I want to get two. Okay, so now the easiest is to remove this glass. Okay, so I lifted the glass all the way to the top, and what I did was I wrapped a piece of cardboard around the top, and then I would put duct tape to hold the glass up. Okay, so I'm going to be disconnecting the electrical wire that goes to the window motor. So now I'm going to be removing the regulator with motor. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts. This is an adjustment. But what you need to do is when I take it off, you're going to see the markings of the bolt. So when you put it back on the same markings. This one you don't have to take it off completely, just kind of loosen it. Looks like there's another bolt right there. Okay, so I took all the bolts off. Now I'm going to have to pry out this connector. So don't worry about breaking it, because we're not going to be using this. Okay, so I'm going to be removing the window regulator. So what I need to do is lift up the regulator and make this bolt go through the big hole. After you remove it, then this regulator, you got to kind of squeeze it together and make it come out through this hole. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be replacing this motor. So what I'm going to, because this thing is spring loaded, I'm going to be putting it on the vise, and I'll show you how to replace it. Okay, so this is the back side of the window regulator, and these 3 screws is what bolts the motor onto the regulator. So I need to remove these 3 screws, but first I'm going to have to loosen it. So what I'm using is, let me see, it's a Torx 25 bit, and I'm going to be using an impact screwdriver just to get it started. That's just to get it started. Okay. So now we're going to take this over to the vise. Okay, so I clamped it in the vise. The reason why I clamped it this way is because this arm is spring loaded, so when I take off this motor, this arm is going to drop. So the way I got it clamped, when I disconnect this motor, the vise will hold everything together. So this is the back side, so I'm going to be removing the bolts. Okay. If you don't put it in the vise, when you take this motor off, this arm is going to, it's because it's spring loaded, it's going to come down. So this is the old motor and this is the new motor. This is an aftermarket motor. That's why the motor is not exactly the same. But the main thing is it's brand new. You don't want rebuilt. So I found a wire adapter that I'm going to be using. So all I needed to do is match the plugs, which it matches to this one. Okay, so before I connect the adapter to the motor, I'm going to put some dielectric grease right in the connector. This way. We're putting some grease on these gears. So before I put the motor on, I'm going to lubricate the gears with some white grease. I'm going to be putting the motor on. Just line up the holes. Then you can come to this side. So I'm going to make it really tight. You don't want this thing to come off. Okay. When I was tightening up these bolts, I noticed that this bottom screw, when I tighten it up, there's a gap between the regulator and the motor. It has to bolt up flush with the regulator. So maybe something on the other side is holding it back. So if we're looking at this other side, there's this little bolt over here that is pushing against the regulator, and that's what's preventing the motor from tightening it up to the regulator. So what I need to do now is to switch the brand of window motor. Okay, this is the old motor that I took out. This is the new motor that I put in that didn't fit because of this screw right here is touching the window regulator. This is the motor that I'm going to be putting in. So I'm going to be greasing up the new motor, the gears on the new motor. Just put a little. Okay, so now I'm going to be installing the motor. Line up the holes again. So make it tight. Make sure the motor is flush against the regulator and there's no gap. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I'm gonna be using this this is like a heavy duty spray on grease. I'm gonna be greasing up these places that pivots. Then I can put some in here. Okay. So now I'm going to be putting some white grease in the channel to lubricate it. It's better to do it now than on the car. This way at least we got access to it. Wherever this thing slides, that's where you're going to put it. Okay. Now we're going to be installing this regulator with motor assembly. Because this unit was in the vise, I couldn't lubricate any of these gears. So I'm going to be lubricating it now before we put it on. Okay, I'm going to be sliding the window regulator assembly. You got to kind of guide it, kind of help it in. Okay, so now we're gonna have to bolt it up. Okay. Just put all these bolts on first before you tighten it up. And you can see where the old marks are. That's where you're going to secure it. Okay, so now what I need to do is I gotta connect this wires to this connector. So what I'm gonna do is the old motor, I'm gonna cut off the connector and splice it in to this. So I'm gonna cut off this connector from the old motor and I'm gonna have to be splicing this into the new motor. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to be putting some dielectric grease in this connector. Okay, we're going to connect. This is from the old motor. So connect it in, and what I have to do is I'm going to have to strip this wire. I'm going to have to connect it to the new motor. But before I crimp it, I want to make sure that this motor is going up and down the right way, because I've seen somewhere if you connect red to red and green to green, the thing is backwards. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip this wire. And for now, I'm just going to put it in red to red, green to green. And from there, I'm going to see if the motor is turning the right way before we crimp it. Because I'm doing it myself, I don't have 3 hands. What I'm going to do is just slip this in and just tape it just so it won't come apart. This is only for testing for now. That's good enough, only for testing. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect the power window switch and turn the key on, and I'm gonna make it go up and down, and I gotta make sure it goes the right way. Right now we don't have the glass in, but we're gonna put that in later. But for now, we're gonna see if these wires are connected the right way. So I'm gonna be connecting the electrical to the switch. Okay, we're going to turn the key on the on position. Let's see if this thing works. Which way did it go? Okay, this is the right way. So, somehow. Okay, so now I'm going to be removing this tape. We do have it the right way, red to red, green to green. Okay. Okay, before we lower the glass, what I'm gonna do is shoot some silicone lubricant into this channel, the one on the front and then the one on the rear. Since the glass is out, then there should have one on the rear. Okay, the rear, there's one on there someplace. Okay. So now we're gonna lower the glass. Well, you want to line up these studs with the hole on the regulator. Okay, so now we're going to put the nuts on and tighten it up. So we're going to just tie strap this guy on. Now we're going to put the plastic shield back on. Make sure you put this rod to this plastic. Okay, so now we're going to put back the door panel. Put some dielectric grease in these connectors. Okay. So now, okay, so we're going to be putting back the door panel. Connect your wires. Okay, make sure it clicks in. Okay, gotta lift it up. Screw the armrest on. Okay, so now I'm going to be connecting the door handle to the linkage. Sometimes it's easier to just pull this linkage with a plier and then connect it. I'm gonna put the lock it in. Okay. Now I'm gonna put this handle in, put it in, shove it to the back, put the screw on. Okay, and before we operate the window, let's go and shoot some more of that silicone spray on the upper section of the track. Okay, just spray the silicone lubricant on. Don't forget to put this plastic piece on. Looks good. All I need now to do is just wipe the glass. So that's how you replace a power window motor. If you like more of my videos, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I see you in the next video. Aloha.